Our poet today is Thomas Hardy. Born in Dorset, after leaving school at 16, Hardy worked as an apprentice with an architect who specialised in church restoration. He considered himself going into ministry, but somehow along the way, influenced by prominent agnostics of his time, he lost his faith altogether. He spent some time in London, but returned to his home in Dorset. His earlier works were, of course, novels. Not until he reached his middle age was his first poetry published. From his mid-50s, he dedicated the remaining 30 years or so of his life to his poetry. His style was varied. It ranged from lyric to ballad, from sonnet to dramatic monologue. Our piece this morning was written before the beginning of the war, and it's entitled Channel Firing. That night your great guns unawares shook all our coffins as we lay, and broke the chancel window squares. We thought it was the judgment day. And sat upright, while drearisome, arose the howl of wakened hounds. The mouse let fall the altar crumb, the worms drew back into the mounds. The glebe cow drooled till God called no. It's gunnery practice out at sea, just as before you went below. The world is as it used to be. All nations striving strong to make red war yet redder, mad as hatters. They do no more for Christ's sake than you who are helpless in such matters. That this is not the judgment hour, for some of them's a blessing thing. For if they were, they'd have to scour hell's floor for so much threatening. Ha ha, it will be warmer there. I blow the trumpet if indeed I ever do, for you are men and rest eternal sorely need. So down we lay again, I wonder, will the world ever saner be, said one, than when we sent us under in our indifferent century? And many a skeleton shook his head. Instead of preaching 40 year, my neighbour Parson Thirdly said, I wish I'd stuck to pipes and beer. Again the guns disturbed the hour, roaring their readiness to avenge, as far inland as Stourton Tower, and Camelot, and starlit Stonehenge. A poem published in the May of 1914, written from a very unusual perspective. It's a perspective of a group of skeletons. The skeleton is one of the dead who's been awoken by the sound of the gun firing along the coast. Britain preparing for the war. The poem's inspired by gunnery practice on the south coast. Hardy, like everyone else, had no idea what this war was going to be like. But he quite accurately predicts the devastation. War is not uncommon throughout his writings. He held strong opinions. He deemed it pointless, the loss of life. He couldn't understand the destruction it caused. This is considered by some to be one of Hardy's best and more popular poems. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Amen.